There we go, and we are live. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. And here we are, Monday morning for me. And we are live. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. Okay, don't know if you heard that or not. I had two screens going. I was being echoed. Okay, so today we are talking about something that is very difficult to grasp in the society that we live in today, and that is patience. And I think the most important aspect of this subject is how it can serve us, and when we're impatient, how it can actually cause resistance in getting what we want to achieve. So I'll just jump right into it. Patience. So this is something that has been a journey on its own for me. Like I said, society, we have the internet, we have everything at our fingertips. Even when we want to purchase something that we can't afford, we are like brainwashed that we have credit and 0% down or 0% interest, zero down, all these crazy things that they use as marketing tactics in the world of like real estate and vehicles. And then we have the internet, and which is like everything at our fingertips. Whenever we want it, it's there. Google search, we can find out any information that we want to find out. There's all these stories that we're surrounded with of immediate success, or a year and someone's reaching massive financial success because of the internet. And so we fall into this this belief or this pattern that we have to have everything right now. So when we step onto this journey of success or achievement and going to reach our goals, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves because we think that we're not getting there fast enough. And I know that this is common and everybody has felt it one time or another. And it was something that it took a long time for me to grasp and actually understand and be okay with relaxing around the whole subject. Because one thing that hasn't changed, even with our quickly evolving technology and our connection to the outside world because of the internet, the one thing that hasn't changed is what it actually takes to reach sustainable success, and whatever that might look like for you. It's not always financial for everybody. That's just the main thing that most people relate success to. However, it could be anything for you, anything that you're trying to achieve. Nothing's changed in that world. When we want to achieve something, we still have to go through the process of struggle and triumph and, pain and pleasure. And we have to bruise our ego and develop our muscle of humility. And we have to fall down, and we have to cry, and we have to celebrate, and we still have to go through this process of growth, of getting to know ourselves on a level that we couldn't even fathom. That's not changed. So even though our world around us is moving very, very quickly, we still have to go through a process to gain success. And now, granted, I say that, and one of the thoughts that come up for me is, well, this person, or we're seeing these things where people are gaining it really quickly, but we don't know when we look at someone from the outside whether they're successful or not. The only true scale of success is within us. So even if we look at someone who is doing really well and has all these materialistic things, has a really big bank account, and even if they're doing amazing things, you don't know what's going on with them, or if they even perceive themselves as successful. So I believe that that takes you to never comparing yourself, first of all, because it's really just irrelevant. And yeah, so all these things are happening around us, and we're going to achieve something. We beat ourselves up because it's not happening fast enough. So the main point of this call today, or this subject, is understanding that when we try and rush things and get somewhere quicker than we're meant to, we cause resistance on that particular goal or achievement. And when I speak of this, I mean in terms of vibration, the universe. When we put a thought out there or a energy out there, and then we cause resistance and stress and pressure because we believe we're not getting there fast enough, well, then guess what? We're not going to get there fast enough. And it's just the way it is. So accepting that there are certain things that you need to experience, and there's certain things that you need to discover before you get there, and only life knows what those things are, then you can relax and just trust the process of doing what you can every day, and not doing more than a day's work in a day. Just doing that day's work and doing those little things and being patient with yourself and understanding that everything will fall into place when it's meant to fall into place. I can reflect now back on the last 2 years of my life and think, wow, there are things that I couldn't have even thought up. There are lessons that I wouldn't even be in my spectrum, my perception, that I wasn't even developed enough to understand or see these things, but I've experienced them. And I can only see that now that I've been through it. And I believe that that was already laid out for me. In order to get to where I am and to where I'm going, I had to experience these things, and I had to go through these challenges, if I may. So that's my take on patience. And I believe that for me, it has come to be everything. So when I start to get antsy and impatient and kind of anxious about how things are going or not going, if they're not going according to the way that I perceive them or I think they should be going, and I start to feel that anxious feeling, it doesn't last long. It's literally within seconds that I can pull myself out of that and say, whoa, I don't know what the plan is here. All I know is that I can do whatever I can do and carry on. So that's a gift. And I wouldn't have that gift if I didn't experience some of the things that I have over the last 2 years. So, Kat, I don't know if anything has come up for you.
I'm just bursting at the seams here, but I'm trying to be quiet.
Open up, lady. Open up.
Yeah, it's highly interesting all you've said, and so much has come up that I don't really know where to start. One thing that does come to mind is that one of our mentors, Jay Kubisak, is always saying, when you sow a seed, there's not much else you can do except, try and sow it in the optimal conditions, etc., etc. So when you're talking about patience, and I tend to believe that we, not a plant, we do have choices, and because we're making these choices, we're also sort of most of the time we're throwing the universe off. And one example, I love this phrase, is like, well, if you're in restaurants, right, and you look at the menu and you pick something, you give your order to the waiter, you have no doubt that that's what the waiter's going to bring you, right? But in life, we say to the universe, right, I want, I don't know, to reach 100 grand this year, or whatever it might be, right? And then you're going to, so that's the order you've placed in the universe, right? And then you're going to be saying, can I do that? Can I not do that? So the waiter, for example, is coming back because you're changing your order, right? So you're changing your order, and the guy is going like this, as opposed to just going out and getting on with it. So,
oh my goodness. Can I jump in there quick? Hold your thought, because that is beautiful. That's like, yes, when we put out a request, just like to the waiter, to the universe, it sets it in motion. Yeah, go ahead, Kat.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Absolutely. No, yeah, it's perfect.
And so, yeah, so you set it in motion, but then if you're caught on the, well, I just had this other vision of like a little mouse on a wheel, because
Hmm.
you keep changing. Am I good enough? Can I do this? Why isn't it coming fast enough? And so you're going faster and faster on this wheel, but you're not enjoying the merry-go-round. You're going around in a little wheel. So, you know, the universe can't bring it to you. And eventually, because you're going so fast, you will fall flat on your face in order to stop this wheel going round. Or for example, if a horse also, when you're a rider and you know your horse goes running off, it's been scared or whatever, like, you know, your ideas, you started an idea and you've suddenly become really scared and you go 1,000 miles an hour. The only way you can stop a horse from doing that is by pushing it on. And that way the horse will say, hey, hold on, you're supposed to be stopping me. What's going on? And it'll stop. And then you can gain control. So before you and your brain go fast enough for you to do that, to have that experience of falling flat on your face or just waking up or seeing the thing, you know, you have to go quite, well, for me anyway, I had to go quite a way down because you know, I have to experience, you know, quite a lot of strife for myself before I will actually listen. Before, and like you know, things happen, and obviously you know, you do fall flat on your face. Everybody does. We're just human beings, right? That's what beings do. They get up, they fall, they learn, and you know, like a toddler when he's learning to walk, right? Or potty training or whatever, there's not going to be, oh, that's it, you've been once on the potty, that's it, I can throw away the diapers, you know. It takes a little bit of time, until a certain age, you know, and sometimes there'll be a shock and they'll wet their beds, or, you know, there'll be a shock and they'll just wet themselves, you know. So we're not infallible, but what we can do is get, you know, really good, or become aware, and that's the first thing, become aware of certain things. And then you catch yourself and you're like, oh, hold on, yeah, just hold on a minute, you know, what am I doing here? I'm not looking for the solution. I'm going down this horrible road that I don't want to go down anymore. I've been there, done that. But you have to bear with your brain, because your brain is addicted to certain actions that you've been doing all these years. Okay, mine a lot more than you, Brittany, because you're much younger than me. So, you know, there are these reactions that I have with certain people, like my ex, you know, 27 years together, we you know, we've got this sort of pattern going. It's like people, you know, when they start smoking over 30 years, at the end of the day, they're not just smoking the one cigarette, they need that extra hit, you know. So there's this nervous impulse that needs to have a huge impulse before it sort of, you know, before you get that hit of the cigarette, or this addiction you have with saying certain things to your partner or your children or whatever it might be, good or bad. And you need to sort of be, you know, you're not going down that easy route of, you know, that hit, for example, of the cigarette. You're trying to stop smoking and you're going down this way, or stop arguing, or stop, you know, getting that. People, I was listening to an amazing guy, forget his name now, of course, Dr. Gray, I think, John Gray, the guy who wrote Women Are From Venus and Men Are From Mars. And he was giving all the brain chemistry of all this, and it's very, very interesting. And he was saying, of course, I forget the point I was going to make. And yeah, anyway, he was giving the chemistry of this, and so you know, you need to get that extra hit. So yeah, it's completely gone. I had this lovely point that I was going to bring forth, and it's gone. Going to.
We've all been there. You can't get it out as fast as you can think of it.
Yeah, and so it's just a way of, you know. So yeah, so you stop yourself, and you have to acknowledge that that's the road. You know, you were going down that road, and for a time, the transition time, you know, you won't know which foot to jump on. You know, you'll be going, oh my God, you know, I don't want to argue. What do I do? Help. And you just have to stop and acknowledge the fact that you've become aware of the situation. That is already the first step, because once you're aware, you can act upon. You know, it's like alcoholics. Until they are aware that they're alcoholic, you can come with all the details, all the things, you know, they're just not listening. Once they're aware, then they might start to listen or do their own research or whatever, but then they can start acting upon. And, you know, that's the way it has to be. And, you know, at the moment, I just have this waiter, and I'm just saying, I've placed my order. Thank you very much. I'm not changing it, you know, and I just keep focusing on that. I'm just focusing on that. So the minute I get sidetracked, I just focus on this, right? And that's my dream for this year. Is going to be this. And I know I can do it because I've done it before for, you know, pretty big, amazing things that have happened to me. But as much as you go up, you're going to come crashing down. And that you have to, it's part of life. You just, like a toddler, you're learning to walk. And just as you think you can do it, oh, croomph, you're just going to fall flat on your face. So these are things that you have to be patient with and about. And one really important aspect is just to learn to be kind to yourself. And I think that when you learn to do that, that's part of the journey, like of stopping this addiction that you have for cigarettes, arguments, or, this addictive bond you have with whoever, whatever it is. And you have to learn to turn that bond around and bond with yourself. And that's, it's a bit bizarre, the things you have to sort of go and do, little things that you feel so stupid doing them in the beginning. But, like one of the things I did, it was Kamal. He wrote a book, and he was very depressed, and then he became multimillionaire. And so everyone was saying, "Well, how'd you do it? How'd you do it?" And he said, "Well, I did these really simple things." And it's like a 70-page little book. And one of them is, you look at yourself in the mirror, and you have to look in the eyes, right? Look at yourself in the eyes, and you just sing. You say, "I love myself," right? And you have to just do that. And he said he felt so stupid doing it that, he would make up a little song. I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. Love myself. I love myself. Right? So it's a bit easier to say, and you do it while you're brushing your teeth or, whatever it might be. And so in the beginning, you loathe yourself. You don't really like yourself or respect yourself or any, but, this is just a little thing. This was a thing for me that, when I do it now, when I think about it now, because I said it to my son, oh yeah, do this. It's really good. Yeah, all right, Mum. I started doing it again, and it's so much fun to actually look at yourself in the eyes and, just pour love at yourself. It's just amazing. But, I personally have come a very long way, because that wasn't how I was, not so long ago. And that's one thing I love about Facebook, because, with these photos, they're like, oh, memories of, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever it was. You're like, wow, that really sort of brings it home, So, yeah. Sorry, as you can see, I go on and on and on and on. And one of the Facebook photos recently, very recently, like yesterday, I think, or the day before, was that I was in such a bad state. I just shaved my hair. I said, fuck it. And just shaved. The kids were all crying, and, but I had to sort of make a stand and say hello. And this Facebook thing came up, and this was 4 years ago, right? Not only has my hair grown, thank God, but, wow. And that really does stop you, and you look at the journey you've done, and that's why I love Facebook. I just love it for, all sorts of reasons, but that really, you take a day or two to digest that one, like, wow, okay. And like yours is 2 years for now. That's brilliant. I mean, I've seen your journey. You've come quite a way, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really something looking back, because and I wasn't patient with myself at the beginning. I beat the shit out of myself, just thinking like, why aren't you there yet? And then and another thing that we do is we put the order in, and it doesn't happen fast enough for us, so we start to tell ourselves that this isn't for us, that we're not good at it, like Kat was saying. So we change the order. So we never get an order that we've asked for, because it never comes fast enough. So we change it, and we change it, and we change it. And we don't just commit and stay persistent and consistent with what we've put in as an order. And I can, that's something else that I've had to accept about myself, is all the changing of, I've stayed basically generally in one direction, but within that direction, I have taken like little degree changes here and there all over the place, just because I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust that what I was putting in, what order I was putting in, I was either worthy of or capable of achieving or whatever it might be. And that's why at the beginning, like I said, is in order to, you might get some success. And if your success looks, if it's in the currency of money, like it's dollar signs, that's what you are right now on your journey. If that's what you're associating with success, and that comes to you, if it wasn't done on a foundation where you've gone through the journey and you've discovered things about yourself that you need to know and all these things, then eventually it crumbles. So in order to achieve what we all actually truly want, and that is sustainable success, sustainable finances, and sustainable security, and just a sustainable feeling of being able to depend on ourselves, then we have to go through that journey. And I can't, we can't sit here and say it's going to take you 4 years. We can't sit here and say it's going to take you 10 years because we don't know who you are. And it all depends on each individual person. But if you haven't discovered or faced that journey of the falls and the fails and the getting back up, and I don't even really know the terms to use for it, but it's not easy. And it's an emotional roller coaster for sure. I know for me it was. If you haven't actually faced that and gotten through it, then the foundation you will build won't be sturdy. So, no, it's inevitable. You just can't be avoided.
Yeah, I'd like to just pop in here and say that, when I first started on this journey, my sponsors, they all grouped, they met at an event, and the 7 of them, they all grouped together and they formed a new thing. And so we had things going on, and they really started earning big, big money. And, I was just watching and thinking, oh yeah, great. I'll just follow their footsteps, right? I want to be there. Let's just do what they're doing. And they were earning, a whackload. I mean, for 7 of them, they were each on about 50K a month or something. Really a shitload of money. And then we just didn't hear from them anymore. They just disappeared. And then I saw on Facebook again, my sponsor was back at a day job. And I'm like, whoa, I had to really sit and figure this one out. I was like, well, what is this here, guys? What's going on? Because I was doing a lot of research and a lot of personal development, and I was, in a bad way myself, I just thought maybe their shoulders weren't, big enough. Maybe their foundations weren't, strong enough. Maybe I don't know, maybe they didn't, crumble and get back up. Maybe they missed a step, or maybe, because some of them then continued to go on and make more success. Sorry, working from home. Yeah, some of them did go back on and continue to make some success, but others they're still at their day job, and I couldn't. To me, that made me even more aware of how important the journey is, because I didn't want to reach there and have it taken away. That's for sure, right? So I'd rather fall flat on my face while I'm broke, get back up and try and make it again, rather than. That doesn't mean to say that I don't think I'm gonna, perhaps when I get up there, I won't, be broke. I mean, he's now president, but anyway, I always used to use Donald Trump as an example. Many times he's fallen flat on his face, completely bankrupt.
His name is like a swear word nowadays.
But
stop cursing, Kat. Stop cursing.
Sorry. But Richard Branson's never been broke, as far as I know. Well, Steve Jobs, but the guy's, rest his soul, he's dead. But he was kicked out of his own company, but he still came back. But once you know the way, you can lose it, because you're just human being. But you know how to make it, and you're strong enough to just get back up, because you're falling from billions up there. So obviously the fall is a little bit tougher. And we had a French guy here who also, well, he didn't really fall. He was pushed overboard, as you were, because they didn't like the way he was doing things, and he was very quiet, but he came back up with his. He even went to prison, for God's sake. So, he came out to prison, and he made his own way back up. So I always thought that, okay, if the foundation is strong, then you can do it again. Obviously, you have all these examples, but it really sort of scared me that these people who I obviously loved them because they were my sponsors and brought me into the SFM and stuff, and it was like, wow, and they just completely that was very scary for me. But at least it made me realize that like you were just saying, you have to have a strong foundation, and you have to be willing to fall flat on your face. I mean, have you never fallen when you're trying to learn a bicycle riding? Have you never, have you never failed anything in your life that you couldn't get up and try again? Of course. Well, I definitely have. I failed my exams. I had to retake them or whatever it was. But it was just, yeah. I mean, I remember trying to drown myself. Bit of melodramatic teenager stuff. But it was get over it. And my parents went, oh, come on, and especially in England, you just had to get on and get over it, and get on. But so yeah, you do have to be strong about that, guys, and you have to be aware that you will fall, and you have to be aware that it doesn't matter if you fall. The thing is, you've got to keep your ego in check, and dust yourself off, and start again, right? And the more you do it, the more it'll become familiar, and then it won't become anything, and you'll be, oh, great, I can start, applying something else to somewhere else, right? I've got that. And that's when it starts becoming fun, and yeah, I met this woman 2 years ago, and she's and now she's, oh God, she's all over the shop. But, she always says, look, it's taken me 10 years on YouTube every day to be at this place now. So yeah, now I'm, seeing all the big corporate, and I'm, the Instagram person to go to. But, she never says, oh yeah, I'm an overnight success, because that's not her style. And, any honest person will tell you that, they've been flat out on their backsides a couple of times, at least. So patience is really key. Patience,
Yeah.
just go out and accept it. Whatever
that is very, very true. A lot of the big names that we know on the internet today, we didn't know them until we knew them. And by the time we knew them, they already had so much behind them of nobody knowing them. Like I was just watching a video of Gary Vaynerchuk the other day, and like he said, I had no followers for years, and I just kept doing what I was doing. And I mean, now you can barely not see him. His name is everywhere, right? So yeah, it's just it's hard. Let's just be real. It's fucking hard. But if you want it, you just have to keep pushing forward and do it, and it will come. That's the part that's the best, is it will happen for you if you just don't give up. And even if you build a weak foundation and fall, you don't give up. Like Kat said, you just get up and you keep going. And that will be the difference between the people who become successful and the ones who don't, is just carrying on and continuing to push forward. Because it is ultimately up to you. When that foundation does fall out from under you, if it ever happens, well, it does happen. It's a choice. It's a choice you get to make. Do you go back to living the life you were living prior to building it and say, well, I just can't do it. I'm just going to have to deal with this is it. Or are you the person that says, well, I learned a lot through that, and now you can put those tools to use. The mistakes you made or whatever happened, you'll never, ever, that experience won't ever be taken away from you. And it was absolutely vital for you to get to where you're supposed to be. So there's a lot to look at. But yeah, anything else, Kat?
No, I mean, we could go on and on and on. I think you've made very important points, and yeah, but you just have to realize that the moment you fall and the moment you brush yourself off, there is a lot of, you need many tissues
or band-aids.
But yeah, eventually it will, it will come like this eventually. But universe is still there throwing stuff at you. Oh.
Always.
So, yeah, just beware.
If you want the success, learn to love the struggle.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I think this is where we're at now. Yes.
Yeah. Finally. Throw it at me. Bring it on.
Bring it on. I need a solution here, guys. And it just comes. And it's like, oh, wow. And you could never even have thought of things. This is what is so amazing, is that you could never even, like you were saying, it's not even in your perception of things that happen. And you don't know why, but you just go with the flow, and that's it. That's all you have to do. Patience. Put your order out there, and patience.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing I'll just quickly add is when we say patience, it doesn't mean like sit around and wait for it to come to you. Let's always tie this into action. Because that's it's a thing. It's especially in my generation is we have everything at our fingertips, so we become entitled and we don't even know that we're entitled. We don't see it. We don't realize how entitled we are. So yeah, it's just, let's be very clear that nothing, absolutely nothing will come your way if you don't put action in. If you don't give a clear view and action towards that view, then yeah, it doesn't come, because nobody in the world, nothing owes us anything. So, but we are worthy of everything.
Yes.
So it's a good distinction to make, and something to remember. Be patient, but continue to move forward.
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah. One foot in front of the other, at least.
With action. Yeah. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week. Mwah. Love and light.
Bye.